GNASS. Two degenerates, both sides of the border. John Santino. Alex Lacasse. The Great North American Sports Show.
Welcome into another edition of GNASS. I, of course, am one of your hosts, coming to you from north of the border. And, of course, with me, as always, the trailblazing, the eyebrow-raising, the nerd-beating, the pie-eating, heart-stopping, parlay-dropping, the people's champion from the Shire, Alex Lacasse. Alex?
It's been a minute since I dropped a couple nerds, John, but I've moved on. I've grown up and matured. I'm 31 now.
Not a fan of The Rock? How are we doing this week, Alex?
Still upright, John. It's an unseasonably warm seacoast of New Hampshire, thanks to the ecocide that we're living through. It's never been better. How are you, John?
I'm good, man. We're getting hit with a bit of rain, but always a good time when it's not freezing cold here in Toronto. So, I mean,
lots. Cold shield is coming down fast.
Oh, I know. And always, despite the tire fire that is Toronto Maple Leafs Twitter, I'm actually kind of happy because 4-3 record for the Maple Leafs. This is substantially better than last year. Substantially better.
Well, John, on tonight's show, we're going to break down the World Series. And do those Phils have a knife fighting them to beat those cheating Astros? Or will the 7-0 Stros so far in the postseason win Dusty Baker his long-awaited managerial World Series ring? The Lakers are a hot mess, and Russell Westbrook's lack of self-awareness is getting more hilarious by the day. But John will tell you who's the hotter mess on the ice. Quick hint, they're the Montreal Canadiens West. And as always, we'll wrap up with This Week in Social Media and Degenerates Corner. John, you obviously picked Phillies Astros for this fall classic, right?
I wish. I mean, like, I thank God I didn't bet on baseball because, as our listeners know, we on GNAS do not bet baseball. It is a Cardinals
friends don't let friends bet on baseball, John.
I know. Ironically, I might break that, but we do not bet on baseball, so thank God we didn't, because this was an unexpected World Series. In fact, the way Houston's rolled in general has been completely unexpected. 7-0, as you mentioned in the teaser there.
Houston's run here has been remarkable because, you certainly see in baseball, the Dodgers are on one right now, the Braves in the 90s, they win all these division titles and, they get maybe one championship out of it, like the Braves in 95. Like the Dodgers, you can put a big fat asterisk on that COVID World Series. Anyways, but so the Astros, like, they're getting to the, the championship round, and, they have the one World Series to play for. They've gone to, 7 games against the Nationals in 2021, or excuse me, 2019.
All good.
Yep. But I think people were gun shy in picking the Astros, having lost Carlos Correa this year. And it turned out that he, whether or not I don't think anyone would say that, he was a bad teammate or anything. And, his presence in the locker room sunk the team in, past years when they haven't won it all. But it just seemed like this team picked up right where they left off, and, kind of like those Nationals when they lost Bryce Harper, and, Juan Soto just slid right in and was arguably a better player than Bryce Harper ever was in Washington.
It felt like the bit of sideshow that Carlos Correa brought with his contract was like, that was a distraction that they didn't need. And him moving on to the Minnesota Twins, by the way, shout out Carlos Correa for opting out again. But
yeah, future Yankee Carlos Correa,
future Yankee superstar.
Say that now?
Yeah, can we please be like just, we'll openly say it, future Yankee Carlos Correa. But I really think the sideshow that he brought distracted the team more than people would honestly like to really talk about. And Houston is a well-oiled machine, and really Carlos Correa moving on handed this team off to the guys like Alex Bregman, Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker. Like, it really ushered in that next era of Houston Astros baseball. And they still have, like we talked about, those few holdovers from the last team: Justin Verlander, Jose Altuve, Yuli Gurriel, Bregman actually as well when he was a younger player.
Verlander wasn't on that team. He was pick up in
Or no,
2018.
Verlander was the one right after. Sorry, but Verlander still was playing with that core. Excuse me, and they've been able to successfully transition, and I think that's also made people a little gun shy on them too, just because it hasn't felt like this core has gone through that great level of adversity. Like they've really hit you like a shotgun blast, especially in this postseason, and they've just seemingly steamrolled through everyone. And even in that last series against the Yankees, like Yordan Alvarez struggled a little bit, but I mean the team still
you didn't
came out
notice.
like yeah. And Alex Bregman had a fantastic series picking up the slack. Like even Kyle Tucker hasn't been the best player this postseason, but again, the Astros are 7-0. They haven't even needed Verlander, I think, to go back into the tank like more than I think the most he's pitched in any series is like what, twice, and even if that, because they haven't.
Right.
There's never been any need for it. And really, what I'm looking for out of this series is, I mean, can they continue with this momentum? The Phillies we know are getting hot. We know they're a strong team, and Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola are just. I mean, they've been fantastic in the postseason. Let's just be outright honest about it.
Right, you certainly need the at least really good starting pitching and two good guys that when you give them the ball, they're going to keep you in the game for 7 innings in nothing more, nothing less. And Zach Wheeler, the Phillies would not be here today without Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola.
Aaron Nola, by the way, going in game 1.
Yes,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. So I was just going to say, so John, do we feel like the Phillies that, we mentioned that they're hot, but are they hot enough? And you look at how Rhys Hoskins played, a lot of big home runs in that NLCS. The Padres were coming in. Everybody thought they were the hot team. They slayed the giant that was the LA Dodgers for them. They beat the Mets, who, if the Mets win, 2 more games during the regular season, it's the Mets getting that first round bye and not the Braves. So I guess my question is, do we have confidence that the Phillies will be able to sustain this? And, you look at Bryce Harper, he hits the big home run that, was effectively the game winner that puts them into the World Series. And, he's been the face of baseball for a long time. And, fairly, I think he's been a little bit overrated. He's a great player, but I think they try to force him as being the real face of baseball, and he's just.
I think Mike Trout
stepped down from that.
He definitely is he's an elite player, and he's a perennial MVP candidate. I don't know if he's as good as say like the absolute tip of the spear players, like those guys like Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. LA Angels can't win.
Yeah, just goes to show baseball. Best players don't always get the job done.
But I think Bryce Harper is a fantastic player, and I think that the biggest issue with why they try to push him as the face of the game is baseball, much like hockey, you are saluted for having absolutely zero personality.
And yeah, he has personality.
And he has one. Yeah, he loves to show that he's pumped up and fired up. I love watching him play because he's so energetic. You can feel him like through the screen. It's almost like watching speaking of WWE promos that we dropped at the beginning of this episode. Like it's almost like watching like a WWE like superstar running around the field because he's electric in so many different ways. And I mean, I'd like to think because of that, he's like his aura or like that rub that they like to call it, like has kind of, gone off onto his teammates. And you'd like to think that because of that, they aren't affected by things like the spotlight or the pressure. And they in fact relish that and they're going to thrive in it. And they have so far this postseason, which I mean, it's an encouraging sign. And I think we could be in for, quite an entertaining series.
If Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola are on their game and they're going to have to steal one in Houston to prolong this series. And I mean, that's certainly within the realm of possibility.
You got to imagine too, that the Phillies are going to try to pitch them probably each at least 3 times as well. Like if they can, like even if it's coming out of the bullpen, like, they're for sure getting 2 starts, potentially 3.
So yeah, so Nola's going to start game 1. So, theoretically he'd be available for game 4 and game 7. And I think 7 would probably come on short days rest. But then, yeah, Zach Wheeler, you're pitching him in 2, 5, and then you have him ready to come in game 7, with the first sign of trouble.
Yeah, like assume he's on like a pitch count in game 7.
If Randy Johnson and Madison Bumgarner can come into and win World Series games with no days rest, like it's game 7, and then that's maybe the best theater that baseball can offer. Game 7 of the World Series.
Those two moments in Kurt Schilling are the 3 pitcher moments that stand out just so vividly in my mind, even from childhood, of just like how dominant they were, and like
Kurt Schilling was a big game pitcher, and he's borderline Hall of Famer, but you felt great with the ball in his hands in a playoff game. And so, John, let's move on to how we think this series is going to play out. Okay. Why don't you give us your pick, who wins, how many games, and give me an MVP as well.
So I have a feeling we're both going to lean the same way in this one, just because of, I'll just outright say it, like the dominance that they've shown so far. But my heart is with the Phillies in terms of I want them to win. I don't think they will win, though. If the Phillies win, it'll be 7, and it'll be Aaron Nola doing a Madison Bumgarner impression in terms of he's going to pitch a shitload of innings for what it is. But I think it's Houston. I think they win it in 6 games. And I think Alex Bregman's the MVP. That's where I'd put my money if I was a smart bettor, which, as we found out on this segment, I am not.
Right. And so I'm right there with you. It's just too hard to pick against the Astros. They seem to be clicking on all cylinders.
Dude, they're a fucking wagon right now.
I mean, Dusty Baker has a long track record of losing heartbreaking postseason games, and maybe he's just that snake bitten. And to be fair, the Astros were, they certainly win that one World Series with AJ Hinch, but they had plenty of playoff failures with Hinch as well, and so it's not completely fair to pin this on Dusty Baker's managerial skills if they lose. But it's too hard to pick against the Astros. And so I feel if I was to bet it, I'm not going to, because again, we don't bet baseball on this program.
I know we're
hardly ever. Well, ever.
Let's be real. Like, we're not smart bettors though. So we're eventually going to circle back.
we don't bet baseball hardly ever. So we're going to go, I feel comfortable saying that this is going to be, the Astros will wrap this up in less than 6 games. If you're playing it under 6.5, I think it's pretty safe. And the MVP, I'm going to say, is Yordan Alvarez.
Ooh, I think he's going to come out of his shell.
Quick bounce. You have one down series. It's baseball. He could easily hit. Come out in game 1 and hit 3 home runs. Like, he's that much of a freaking killer. And where would the Astros be if Yordan Alvarez didn't hit that walk-off home run in game 1 against the Mariners in the division series? The Mariners played the Astros tough. The Mariners clung on for dear life, and they played 2 full baseball games in game 3, and the Astros can only win 1-0. So, who knows how, if the Astros have to play a long series, maybe the Mariners knock them off. So I think that, and Alvarez has been their best hitter all year. So I don't think he's going to be 2013 David Ortiz, because, they just asking a guy to hit 650 in a World Series is a lot. But I think
a bit much, a little. That's a steep ask, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. Not too many people are David Ortiz, but I think Yordan Alvarez bounces back. You have no reason. I mean, Nola and Wheeler both right-handed, so you got that advantage for Alvarez. And if Aaron Judge didn't have a league record-breaking home run season, Alvarez would have been right there in the MVP conversation.
Absolutely. I like that pick as well. I think it might go to Bregman, though, just because if this goes relatively short, I mean, Bregman, more fielding opportunities, gets the ball rolling, gets his legs under him. So more chances, I think, just as in general as an athlete, to like get warm, get rolling. But I do like the pick of Yordan Alvarez, because we know he's an absolute killer in the box. But Alex, let's stick with the theme of the good, the bad, and then the ugly with the rundown. I think let's move on to some bad. The LA
From a
Lakers.
Team that is very, very far from winning a championship.
Yes.
That would be the Los Angeles Lakers.
The Lakers, by the way, provided my favorite moment of the NBA season so far, when Russell Westbrook went 0 for 11 from the field, and it was the second game of the season, and referred to his performance as solid. Just beautiful zero self-awareness there, Russ. I love it.
Like, if you're LeBron James, if you're a noted egomaniac LeBron James, and you see Russell Westbrook talking to reporters after going 0 for in the second game of the season, after all the struggles of last season, Like, what are you thinking about this guy?
I just
who's also an egomaniac.
I just don't know how 5-time self-proclaimed GM of the year LeBron James could figure that acquiring Russell Westbrook was a good idea. But hey, I mean,
I was gonna say, I think we can definitively say, John, that LeBron James as player, coach, GM is less than player, coach, GM Jackie Moon. Because if you look at this roster, John, who would you trade a washing machine for?
It's startling to me that he's managed.
I'm leaving Anthony Davis, the max contracts, LeBron James off the table. But like, if you're talking about
Alex, you can't trade them because then they're worse than they are now, and they're already
they're
already in
last.
I just wanted
to qualify the washing machine question, because yes, I would trade a washing machine for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, but at the same time, like to your point, like they haven't figured out how to acquire any form of rim protection, any form of shooting. I mean, I'm starting to think they almost like fell in ass backwards that NBA championship to a degree, but it's honestly astonishing that they haven't been able to figure this out. And the fact that we're still hearing about a Buddy Hield trade is alarming, like alarming.
Right. But how is it like the Lakers? They need, in order to do that, they're going to need to swing a 3-team trade, because again, I mean, do you like Max Kepler? Do you like Scottie Pippen Jr.? If I were the Celtics, I would have drafted Scottie Pippen Jr. over
Alex, it's not just the 3-team trade. Alex, you're forgetting one part too. It's not just the 3-team trade. It would be a first-round pick from 2027 or 2028.
Right. So who wants that? And
no. I want that. I want that because you Davis is going to be gone at that point. LeBron will be retired. I want that pick.
Right, but they are the Lakers, and they can, when those guys are gone and the Lakers have max money to spend. The one thing about the Lakers is they can always get the best free agent on the market if they have the money.
Alex, they can spend the money, but keep in mind that to a degree, if you're an organization, you're going to have to go through a reset period, because when you strip yourself of that many assets, even if you can dip into the market and like bring yourself like really elite talent at the cost of like really just money. Yes, you spend that like just the cap space, but at the same time, how are you going to surround those players? Like they literally cannot even, like they don't have the draft capital to add depth on their bench. Like this is the kind of thing where if they do a full, it might even be more pertinent for this team.
The Lakers they're praying pretty hard for Max Kepler these days.
No, exactly. And it's like they're closer to a full rebuild than they are contention. And it might even be more pertinent for them to explore a full rebuild. It's just that as long as you have LeBron James on your roster, you can't, which is just
right. No, they are really pigeonholed into a serious problem. And at least like in my darkest days as a Celtics fan, call it between 2004 and 2007, we were trotting out Sebastian Telfair and Ryan Gomes.
Al Jefferson was pretty dope.
Right. There was always at least a few young players that you're like, all right, they're not good now, but like they play hard and they're getting better. What are you looking at as for signs of hope on this roster that, oh, Anthony Davis will play 70 games this season and LeBron will still play like 35-year-old LeBron? Well, and Alex, that's not a championship formula.
No, and let's look at it another way. So, Alex, you are hired as the GM of the LA Lakers. GM Alex Lacasse, you're now the boss. What do you do?
I find out how much money the team has to pay me, and then I resign. Ideally on a cocktail napkin, because that'd be very Belichickian of me. Because no, this is an intractable right now. This is an intractable roster, and we joke about it all the time. Like, you really like Wayne Gabriel, yeah. So
they're capped out. They have no shooting. They have no rim protection. They're aging, and their roster needs to be load balanced.
Yeah, like, and they have no assets.
Assets. And if you're like, how do I fix these things? I have no draft picks. I have no young players, and again, can't stress this enough. No cap room.
I mean, because we brought up the Buddy Hield trade, like GM LeBron, like they had a deal in place
to get him.
to get Buddy Hield was like, no, like, let's use our best asset in Kyle Kuzma and go get Russell Westbrook, who, like, can we say that Russell Westbrook might be the best stat patter of all time? Because from watching this guy's entire career,
stat patter, Alex, what's he shooting from 3 this year?
That would be 8.3%, John.
Yeah, sounds like a real stat patter, that dude.
Well, no, but so again, like, but he averaged a triple double in back-to-back seasons. Like, well, you can't say the guy's untalented.
That was also to a degree, like, the way that he played basketball, you knew that specifically aging was going to be rough on him.
Yeah, he was not going to age gracefully because he can't make a jump shot. And
to that point of him not being hit, that lack of shooting ability and his, I mean, we'll just call it what it is, his indifference on the defensive end of the basketball. Like, he's coming into this Lakers team expecting to be a role player. And, like, honestly, like, for this to work,
no, not him. He thinks he's the guy that averages a triple double still.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, for this to work, he basically had to accept the fact that he's a role player. He's going to need to facilitate and basically evolve into, like, a defense, like a lockdown defender for whoever is the primary ball handler on the other team. And I mean, he's clearly not accepting of that. He went, like, going 0-11 from the field and calling yourself solid is the perfect, like, that is an epitome of just zero self-awareness and the fact that you're unaccepting of a role. Like,
right. And so, like, we joked all the time this offseason, like, we both agreed that the Lakers' best asset was Talen Horton-Tucker, as flawed, and, like, that guy just might be maxing out as a rotational combo guard in the NBA. And you had to, just to bring back Pat Beverly, another guy who can't shoot, which it's confounding. You had to unload not just Talen Horton-Tucker, but Stanley Johnson. And, like, not that Stanley Johnson's been a bust so far, but
yeah, but, like, he's a body but
there's
Alex,
still some upside there.
Not just that, but he's an NBA body. Like, that is what they lack right now, is just NBA depth. And he is something that, like, he can just give you, like, an NBA body. That's it. Like one of the biggest things with them is you're looking at who they're playing, and this is just appalling. It's like you mentioned it before, like Scottie Pippen Jr., great name because of, like, the family bloodlines and stuff. But, like, what do these guys bring to the table? Like, honestly,
he was first team all SEC. Like he might Scottie Pippen. Like, I think that there's
Alex,
an NBA
who's not
ahead of him.
Yes, but do you know who's not winning the NBA championship? Guys who are all SEC in year one. And do you know who's unhappy with that? 37-year-old GM LeBron James.
Well, that's his problem. He should have put the roster together. But we mentioned the trade of THT and Stanley Johnson to the Jazz. John, the Jazz keep winning, and they weren't supposed to.
I honestly feel like, to a degree, Danny Ainge is looking at this. Like, he definitely started, like, the first win of the season. Like, as soon as they went up, he's like, fuck. Like, he's like,
give the home fans something to cheer about for one night, and
like
then but, like, it starts tomorrow.
Exactly, but as soon as they started, like, getting on this roll, he's like, fuck, and now I think he's sort of like, kind of like we talk about with NFL coaches. He's like, if I'm just not incompetent, maybe I'll make the playoffs in the 8th seed with, like, 5 first-round picks,
or at least the play-in tournament.
Yeah, or at least the play-in tournament. I mean, like, you just got to be in, like, what, the top.
You can still get in the lottery if you lose out of the play-in tournament.
Yeah, and you just have to finish in the top, like, 2/3 of the league to make the play-in tournament, which, like, I mean,
it's a tough ask for a team like the Lakers, but
for
crappier teams.
well, Alex, let's look at this. Like, for a young, hungry, like, one of the biggest things we talked about is the Lakers need to be load managed and they lack depth. Let's look at the Jazz, like, young, hungry, lots of NBA.
Everyone with Mike Conley and Rudy Gay, but I mean, Rudy Gay can probably be had for, a future 2nd-round pick at this point.
Yeah, same thing for,
sure,
like,
Danny's pretty.
Danny would be willing
to unload that guy.
Oh, Danny would be pretty willing to trade anyone on that roster, but at the same time, like, you look at them, they have a lot of, like, just guys who are hungry, like Malik Beasley, Nickeil Walker-Alexander, Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen. These are guys who just, I mean, they're not stars, but they're looking to get, that next contract, get their name out there. But hey, I mean, they're 4-1. We got to salute them while we can, because they're first in the West right now.
So do you think they're winning just to spite their management? Like, you have a guy like Mike Conley's a very, very proud NBA player.
Yes.
Or do we think that the Jazz didn't do enough to unload some of these guys in the offseason, like they unloaded Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert?
Well, they definitely didn't do enough offload these guys, because if they wanted them truly gone, they would be gone. That's how it is in today's NBA. But the fact of the matter is, we know that athletes will play to win. Like, athletes want to win. These guys,
Of
like,
course.
you don't get to that top level without wanting to win and wanting to be successful. And when they know
Rudy
that,
Gay's been a dog. Rudy Gay's been an NBA dog for a
well,
long
that's what I'm
time,
saying.
but
And
he's
like,
also
and when
made
you have
tens of
a
millions of dollars.
but when you have a long career like Rudy Gay, you don't want that. Like, one of those things that those guys ask for a lot of the time is they don't want this to end. And that being said, like, as you said, Rudy Gay's a dog, man. He's going to teach these young guys how to battle. And when the team goes out there knowing that the management is like plotting for them to lose, like, they're using that as like bulletin board material, man. They're going out there every day and trying to win. And because we see how dysfunctional that can get. And to a degree, Danny Ainge is trying to build it in a healthy way where he says, like, yes, we're tanking, but
Well, that's why they gave Will Hardy a 5-year or 6-year contract. Like,
exactly.
they believe in him, the coach. And
No,
I mean,
exactly. And
he's been,
they want
top of young NBA coaching searches for a long time now. So
no, that's true. And they want to put in a foundation in place for that rebuild when they, fingers crossed, get Victor Wembanyama. But I mean,
as a basketball, as a moonlighting jazz man myself, John, I do want Victor to end up in Mormonville. We talked about the Lakers and what a hot mess they are, John, but we're going to lace up those skates and jump on the ice. There's even crappier team playing out in Alberta. Oh, excuse me,
no.
British Columbia.
Yes, they are. We're looking at you, Vancouver, and man, what a start it's been. So if you were a Lakers fan and you thought your life was rough going 0-4, not only did the Vancouver Canucks start off 0-4, all 4 games were multi-goal leads. All 4 NHL records, bud. And in addition to that, they've continued that trend. They're now 0-5-2. I'm hammering Pittsburgh to beat them on Friday night as we record this Thursday, October 27th. One of the most telling things is if you listen to the quotes from the locker room, it's bad, man, like real bad. Bo Horvat's exact quote. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's a little long, but the end of the quote is he goes, at this point in the season, it feels just like it's never going to happen again. Like, we're never going to win again. Alex, if your captain got in front of a press conference,
the captain.
Alex, he is the captain that, like, so the biggest issue that's been publicly reported with the Vancouver Canucks is that Bo Horvat is a company man and that half the locker room wants him to be the captain and the other half of the locker room sort of likes JT Miller, who's more of a, I don't really like, he seems like he's a fiery on ice guy, but my guess is he's just more of like he less kisses the management.
He seems steady.
Yeah,
from
like
watching it from afar.
Exactly. And he's not as much of like a management ass kisser. Whereas Bo Horvat, that's kind of the reputation he has. And yeah, that's your captain in a presser saying that. So how do you feel after that?
Right. I just think this just gets back to the psyche of there are just these teams that when they experience a monumental loss, they either immediately turn it around that next season and push past it, or they just crater. And the Vancouver Canucks, since the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals, losing that game at home to a Bruins team they were vastly more talented than, it just seems like the Canucks have never recovered from it, John.
It feels that way to a degree because, actually, speaking of Bo Horvat, like, his drafting, even to a point, was like almost like an overcorrection where they wanted to pick up these guys who are more two-way players, tougher to play against, more physically rash, we'll call it, basically assholes on the ice. Like, and it's led them to make like brutal player decisions, like from Tyler Myers, whose contract is still haunting them today, Tucker Poolman, Michael Furland, and even a few years back who are no longer on the roster, like Jay Beagle and Antoine Roussel. And also, Alex, shout out to your boy, Louis Eriksson.
Oh, God.
But like, it's just, yeah, to your point, like, they suffered this devastating loss a long time ago, and it just led to this, just a horrid history of overcorrection. And
Peter Chiarelli deserves to be Zamboni'd into the ice for the Tyler Seguin, Louis Eriksson trade.
Oh, but Alex, like, oh God, that one was awful. But I mean, he tried to make a hockey trade.
No, the Bruins. Don't get me wrong. No, the Bruins love their hockey trades. No, God forbid we ever get any. No, I say we. I can't call myself a Bruins fan, but God forbid the team ever gets. God forbid they ever get any future assets for anything. Ugh.
And like this is something that's haunted the Vancouver Canucks. Is like they're on to a new management team and they're still doing this bullshit. Like they traded their first round pick for Oliver Ekman-Larsson's $8 million contract that expires when he's 37 years old. And like we spoke about JT Miller. Like JT Miller is a
franchise defenseman, John.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Alex. Jesus Christ. This guy, he's the franchise, by the way, the best
franchise defenseman of a Mickey Mouse franchise that played that's playing the 3,000 seat arena right now.
Oh my God, that one's even worse. But like the thing about OEL too, by the way, shout out to him throwing up and vomiting in front of the press and at his first practice with the Canucks, just showing he's completely out of shape too. But
hell yeah,
what even I know, right? Like what a guy. But
you're
further,
you're telling me he's the David Wells of defensemen?
No, he's not that big. He's just out of shape, man. Unfortunately, I wish you the guy.
Well, I mean, it's not apples to apples.
No.
David Wells, big game. David Wells, big game pitcher.
No. There is a big because Alex, there's an exact
won a World Series game, still drunk.
No, but that's what I'm saying. They have that in hockey. It's Dustin Byfuglien, big sexy buff, man. We have that. But yeah, it's like the Canucks though. Even further with that, JT Miller signing. They signed him to an 8-year, $64 million extension this offseason. Like, what the fuck are they doing, dude? Like, this is a team that has been haunted by this 2011 playoff loss. And then in addition to that, they went on a deep run in the bubble. It was really a miracle run where their goalies just stood on their head. And like, because of that, it's forced this team to go all in. And it's just made the situation dire, like very, very dire. This team is a tire fire. They're nowhere close to contention. And Alex, the best part is they've spent all their money every dime.
Well, out in Montreal West, in Vancouver, I think, it's a one-team town. The franchise kind of has the fan base over a barrel. So it doesn't seem like the fan interest is going to wane anytime soon, but
they're starting to revolt, man. They're throwing jerseys on the ice. And I'm telling you right now, if like as a paying fan of hockey in general, if I bought one of those Johnny Canuck jerseys that the Vancouver Canucks just released, that is a brilliant fucking logo. I am not throwing that shit on the ice. But I hate this team, so I'm throwing beer at them.
So yeah, those jerseys are expensive, John. But so you asked me if I was GM of the Lakers, and I gave a non-answer that I would essentially just give double freedom rockets and get the F out the door after collecting, I imagine at least one six-figure paycheck. But you put your GM hat on for these plucky Canucks, and how do you unfuck this situation, John?
Well, Alex, we talk about it all the time. The number one problem in sports is that these idiot management staff cannot get out of their own way. And what I would do as Vancouver Canucks GM is, first off, I would just trade people with value, trade them at any cost possible. So JT Miller would not have been getting an extension from me. He would have been traded. Guys like Markstrom and Tanev would not have walked for free. I would have gotten assets for them. And then on top of that, I would rebuild the team because these sorry sack of shit players in Vancouver right now, like, are you fucking kidding me? Your coach tells me you're afraid to win? Is that a joke? You got
that's not what you want to hear from your coach of a pro sports franchise.
They're 4 games into the season, and they asked Bruce Boudreau, "What's your assessment of the team?" They're afraid to win, and they have problems.
Bruce Boudreau, the guy's he's kind of a boob, but he's won a Stanley Cup. He's had success as a pro coach.
He's had success. He's coached some of the best in the game. He's not necessarily the best coach, but if that is his assessment after 3 games, guys, you put your fucking jersey on and have some goddamn pride. Seriously, and if you're not going to do that, get off the roster. Plain and simple. I mean, and trust me, it's digging at extra scar tissue because I feel Canucks fans because I know what it's like to blow multi-goal leads. So
Yeah, that's true. John, speaking from experience here, we're going to take a quick break, but stay here because we're going to continue. We have a hockey themed this week in social media, so you don't want to miss it. And we're back on GNASS. As I alluded to, we're sticking on the ice for this week in social media. Life happens just a little bit too fast online, so John and I just like to take a couple brief snapshots of some of the best or worst the cesspool that is social media has to offer. But we're sticking with hockey, John. Who's getting your shout out this week?
My shout out is going to the NHL's Ironman, the man who represents everything that you need to be as a professional athlete. That is Mr. Phil Kessel. Phil, congrats to you, you sexy son of a bitch, with your 990th straight game. Phil Kessel is just an absolute beast. He is officially the toughest man in the NHL. I will fight you on it. And guess what?
Who would have thought?
Right? Literally, do you want to know the last time he missed a game, Alex? His trade.
I was going to say like 2010.
Earlier. It was the trade from the Boston Bruins to the Toronto Maple Leafs. He needed shoulder reconstruction surgery. That was the last time Phil Kessel missed a game.
Right. I do remember that. Yeah.
Absolutely fucking mystifying, that guy. But my shout out goes to him. And I found this lovely story on Twitter about Phil that, I mean, as we know, Phil, not exactly a big workout guy. Phil was at BioSteel camp. BioSteel, for those who don't know, is the NHL's premier offseason training camp. It takes place at St. Mike's in Toronto. All the top players go. It's not really like an invite-only thing, but it's like a very, very exclusive camp. Phil Kessel, while everyone was working out, was just kind of reading a magazine. Everyone's like sweating away on a bike, just kind of like working their ass off. And this player, who remains to be anonymous for this story, gets off of the bike and kind of goes up to Phil and goes, hey, are you going to like do anything? Or are you just going to kind of sit there and keep reading your magazine and just, well, the rest of us work? And Phil kind of looks at him and shrugs and goes, okay, you want to see what I can do? Phil goes on and proceeds to set every single record in the leg press and destroy everybody with, I think Gary Roberts said, 4 plates on each
Minnesota farm strength, John.
Yep. Minnesota farm boy strength, loves those video games, but doing one leg 4 Romanian deadlifts with like 4 plates on each side, just absolute fucking animal. Phil Kessel, we shout you out because you may not look it, but you are the toughest son of a bitch in hockey. Alex, that is my social media.
Also the hot dog water strength too, right?
Hey, don't make fun of hot dog boy. That's what makes you strong. When you don't know what's in those dogs, that is what gives you that testosterone, buddy. Also, he has 1 ball, which is just fantastic. It makes the story even better. But Alex, what is your social media shout out this week, my friend?
Yeah, so I think everybody remembers the meme broadcast call, or I guess it quickly turned into a meme after former Reds broadcaster Tom Brenneman was caught on a hot mic using a very homophobic slur in reference to some unknown city we still don't know to this day. But anyway, so the NHL had a much more important and I guess it's a much more positive dynamic. The New Jersey Devils were on a power play. They took the draw in their own zone. They were up 2-1, and I forgive me, I don't know the guy on the call, but he starts. We encourage all women to schedule a mammogram, and we got a Devils goal. Power play. So yeah, I'm glad this has replaced the the Tom Brenneman call. Marty Brenneman is a Hall of Fame broadcaster with the Reds, and then he's got his his son won the genetic lottery, and he got to also be the broadcaster of the Reds, which he thoroughly abused that privilege, and he is no longer employed anywhere. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that the Devils broadcaster, we have a better meme call of an exciting play. And
not many good things in hockey these days, but we still got to shout out Hockey Fights Cancer Month. One of the few things right that the NHL does. And because as we know, Gary Bettman hates to admit when he's wrong. Arizona Coyotes.
Yes. And so no, abs just to underscore, get your screenings. I'll be joining you very soon in my rapidly advancing age.
Alex, we've seen it from Archer. Male breast cancer is the thing, even though Archer is not really real. Alex, that brings us to what I believe to be our favorite segment of the show where we actually lose the most money possible. It is time.
Speak for yourself.
What? Really? It is time for Degenerate's Corner.
Sometimes she goes, sometimes it does. She didn't go. That's the way she goes.
22 black, 22 black. Ass, son of a bitch.
Fucking way she goes, he said.
Oh no, why did I bet the company payroll? Oh, Gil's in a lot of trouble.
Can the boys beat the number? We'll find out on Degenerate's Corner.
It's the way she goes, buddy. Fucking way she goes.
All right, Alex, we're diving right into Degenerate's Corner. So, my friend, how did you do? Well, I mean, I know last week we had a bit of a break, so it would be now 2 shows ago because we had the NBA preview. So, how did you do last time we had best bets, my friend? I got hammered.
So, John, I threw out a not 2, not 3, but 4-leg teaser for for our good listening audience. And if you just said, Alex, these 3-leggers, you're doing great with them. Maybe I don't need the Monday night game with it. You would have done great. Which I thought the Patriots playing the Bears was like the most, like that was the surest lock of the whole freaking football slate, John.
Dude, they got fucking showed up by Justin Fields.
They were 11 for 16 on 3rd down. The worst offense in the NFL. Oh my God. Like,
dude,
weird things, like
that was so rough.
There is this, I don't know how you quantify it, but there is this old belief that like weird shit happens on Monday Night Football, whether Dennis Miller's on the call, whether Howard Cosell's on the call, or whether Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are on the call, and the Patriots are 8-point favorites at home against the Justin Fields and the Bears with that hardo freaking head coach. I like the credit to the Bears. The Bears came in and they took care of business. But I think this loss says a lot more about the Patriots for all of these New England fans thinking like, we got a franchise quarterback in Mac Jones. No, who needs Mac Jones? We got Bailey Zappi. Well, guess what? Both of them suck. Like both of them suck.
I got really hyped up for a second there when Zappi came in. He threw that one good pass, and then it was like, "Are you fucking dude?" Like,
well, I mean, but think about those 2 passes. Like, Jacoby Myers had to readjust on a ball that was very, very catchable when he was wide open, and his other big pass to Ramondre Stevenson, you're throwing to an uncovered running back out of the backfield. So, and then the rest of it, Bailey Zappi's passes for the entire second half, they were just getting batted down at the line. It's like, oh, all right, there's enough film now on the 5'10" quarterback from Western Kentucky. Great. So it's just like, I just want to remind Patriots fans that like, not every quarterback that you bring in after Tom Brady is going to be anything close to a franchise quarterback. I mean, for the old long-suffering Patriots fans, New England was a football Siberia until Bill Parcells came to town.
It might be a while till you get someone passable too, because keep in mind, like, look at a team like Cincinnati, man. It might be a while until you get someone passable again. Forget just like someone who's good. And
yeah, exactly. And so like New England, I think we're like, we thought, the Cam Newton year and, losing to the Bills and not having to punt in the playoffs, we've suffered enough now. Like, we're going to trend back upwards. No, you're not. No, we're not. We're like, this is early, like, we're getting ready for early 80s Patriots football, and except all the quarterbacks on the other teams are much better, and the offenses are much more sophisticated.
Just like drafting goalies in the NHL, man. You're back to throwing darts at a dartboard.
John, I'm starting to smell John, I think I'm starting to smell eggs. So I might be having a stroke. But we got to wrap up Degenerate's Corner. John, how did your best bet on our last show do?
Not well. I took the Bruins on a back-to-back to beat the Senators. Did not work out. I took them against the lowly Senators. Senators hammered me. So we are moving on to this week because I need to make some money. Alex, what is your best bet for this week, my friend?
So we're gonna go back to the 3-team teaser, 4 legs. I'm gonna be really feeling my oats if you get another 4-leg teaser from me. But we're gonna start with the Commandos and Colts. Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz, and the Commandos are the Commandos. The Colts, they just bench Matt Ryan for being ineffective. I'm not the biggest. Maybe someone can tell me that Sam Ellinger might be a franchise, could end up being a franchise quarterback. I'm not buying it, especially in his first start. So we're going to tease that. The under up to 45.5, up from 39.5. John, your Giants have been a machine. So they're 3-point dogs again on the road. They could win outright. They're just playing that well, but let's give ourselves the 9-point cushion up from 3 points. And then 49ers Rams, we're going to tease that under up again. It was 43. We're going to go under 49. I don't care that Christian McCaffrey's there. You know, he might break a toenail on his second carry, and he might be out for 6 weeks. So
you sure he didn't demand a trade already after getting his lunch handed to him?
Right. And so look, the Rams haven't shown you anything this year. The 49ers typically have their number, so I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think 7 touchdowns is a lot for both of these teams, and the Rams still have a decent defense, and Jimmy Garoppolo has not looked good at all this year. So we'll go under there. So all the others plus 160. I'll get back in the winning column. John, where are you going for your best bet?
My best bet, I'm not going to do a parlay this week because, well, I will do a parlay this week, but I mean not for my best bet. My best bet, you mentioned it. We're talking about the machines, the covering machines, the New York Football Giants. We are taking them +3 this weekend at -110 odds. Trend is your friend in betting, and the New York Giants are on a roll. They're
Geno
covering
Smith was the backup for the Giants, right?
Yes, at one point. At one point.
So do we think this is a Geno Smith revenge spot?
I mean, there's a chance there is, because keep in mind, John Mara doesn't start black quarterbacks. That's why Geno Smith never had a chance in New York. But I mean, the way the Giants are playing, man, I really like them against the Seahawks. I think that they finally have it figured out, not necessarily how to be an elite team, but just how to not lose. And I think that's really worth something here, because the Seahawks are still trying to figure some things out, despite the fact that Geno is actually playing like a wizard this year.
Yeah, Geno Smith. I can take Geno Smith on the Patriots right now. I can tell you that much, which I if I had said that a year ago, like they would have, they would have put me away in an institution for a long time, John, and deservedly so. You mentioned a parlay that you got one, John. What are you looking at?
So my super parlay this week, we're going to take the covering machines, the New York Giants. We're going to parlay them with the Pittsburgh Penguins on October 28th. Like I said, the lowly Vancouver Canucks, their captain's saying they're never going to win again, so we're going to bet on them to lose again. We'll take Man City on the money line versus Leicester City this weekend. Celtics versus Bucks on Friday, or I think it's on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, on the money
Celtics
line.
And it's not the Bucks. No, it's the Cavs. Play the Cavs
on Friday.
On Friday.
Okay, so it'd be Celtics Bucks on Sunday, then Celtics on the money line, and then of course World Series Game 1. Alex, I'm going to take the chance, and you're a bad friend for letting me do this.
Sorry to interrupt you, just for full transparency. The Celtics play the Bullets on Sunday.
So then it'd be, I believe, Friday then is the game. And then
Cavs.
who am I? Wait, I have Celtics Bucks though on my card.
The Celtics definitely play the Cavaliers per ESPN schedule on Friday.
Give me one sec.
The Bucks play the Knicks.
Why do I have this wrong then?
Looking at last year?
No, I was on my betting site. So I had it on my card. Who do I have then? Give me one sec. I could have sworn it was Bucks Celtics. That's what happened. For some reason, I got screwed on that one. They have December 25th up. That's what I thought it was. So I thought it was the Sunday. That is my bad, folks. Damn, I got screwed on that one. But turns out this parlay will be active for a very long time then. So we have Bucks versus Celtics December 25th on the money line, and then we are closing.
So this long shot's going to stretch until Christmas?
Yeah, I thought it was, apparently my platform put all the Christmas games up this week, which, what the fuck? I was not looking at the date for that one. So
all right, so this will be
sorry about that one, folks.
We'll check in on this next week, and we'll do a big Christmas breakdown and see if John will win some serious candy or not. When the rest of these hit. And
Alex, we have under 6.5 runs for game 1 of the World Series. This gives us a total odds of plus 1165. So I went for a tasty parlay this week, but unfortunately, that is a Christmas game.
Hey, well, people better tune back in after the 4 other results in this parlay.
Hey, buddy, I'm gonna smash this one.
After they all hit. And you were frozen, John, but I mentioned I'm on some load management this week, only because I got hooked last night by those stupid Atlanta Hawks. I almost said Falcons. I had their team total over. They just made 1 free throw out of the 4 they missed in the last 2 minutes. I would have been fine. I would have been absolutely fine. And I would have had a nice, juicy parlay for all of you. But that's just as a wiser man once said, that's just the way she goes, John. But so may the odds be in your favor for this this stretched out parlay, if you will.
Very, very long one. And thank you, my friend. May the odds be in your favor as well for your three-side teaser. But man, I love the teaser concept with the +9 versus Giants. But man, they need to get you a better platform than DraftKings.
Yeah, the monopolistic book here in New Hampshire is really cramping my style. That is for sure. I want to be a Caesar, damn it, John. That's all I want. But I think we've come to the end of the road on this edition of GNASS. Do you have any parting thoughts for the people?
Everyone, just if you like the video, like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends, support us any way you can, and we're happy to help you guys. And I mean, put out any content we can for you guys. Thank you for listening.
At the GNASS on Twitter and
GNASS the podcast on Instagram, and you can officially find us on Spotify.
We are on Spotify now. This is the Great North American Sports Show is slowly but surely taking over this continent, and you want to be on the right side of this one. Trust me on that.